Hi and welcome to chandu.org. I'm really happy to say hello to you from all the way in Wellington, New Zealand. That's right. Recently, our family, myself and Joe and kids, we migrated to New Zealand. We wanted to spend a couple of years here, exploring all the beautiful sights and awesome things that can be done in the land of long white cloud, as they call it. So right now I'm sitting in New Zealand, Wellington, and of course I'm sitting in my hotel room, which happens to be in one of the suburbs of the Wellington. But I just wanted to show you a very quick glimpse of Wellington before we actually jump into the topic of the day, which is forecasting in Excel 2016. So let me just turn the camera and hopefully you can see something. That's the window, and probably you can see some moving clouds and it's kind of getting dark now. It's about 5:30 in the evening here, so it's not very bright, but I'll probably attach some pictures or something to the video so you can get a glimpse of how beautiful and awesome this place really is. And this is just a hotel in the middle of suburbs. So today afternoon we went to lunch. We packed our picnic lunch and we went to Botanical Gardens in Wellington, and it's just insanely beautiful. I mean, the view when we were having lunch, we could see the entire downtown Wellington, and I just felt so fortunate and blessed to be able to experience all that, and enjoy it with my kids and my wife. So thank you. Now let's talk about Excel. I mean, this is why you're watching this video anyway. How do we do forecasting in Excel? I have talked quite a bit about forecasting in Excel, both on blog articles as well as some of the courses we run. So right now the focus point here is how do you do forecasting in Excel 2016. For this purpose, I'm going to pick an example problem. This is emailed to me by one of our readers, coincidentally in New Zealand, and so he happens to have some sort of historical data for 1 year, and then he wants to forecast it for the next 3 months. Very simple, very straightforward problem. You got some data. The data has a little bit of ups and downs, if you wish. So let's just say we look at a line chart of the data. You can see that there is a spike and then the data continues, and we want to forecast it. This could be probably an exception, like running a promotion that kind of caused spike in sales, or having a deadline that caused spike in production, or one of those kind of one-off events. But that's the usual annual trend with a slow upwards movement in the first few months, and then a downward movement in the month of 6, then upward movement all the way up to month number 9, and then going down and continuing that trend. So if this is the way the data behaves, how do you forecast it? Now, in the traditional Excel, the Excel 2013, 10 or before versions, we would have to come up with formulas that will tell us how this forecasting should go. So we would have to either come up with a time series based forecasting or any other forecasting. It could be polynomial forecasting or whatever. So we would have to first set up a forecasting model, and then based on the equations and coefficients and whatnot, forecast the data. Of course, if the data is assumed to be linear, you could use simple linest or one of the linear estimation formulas. But in case the data is more wavy patterns like this, you are better off doing a proper time series forecasting. But in Excel 2016, what Microsoft has done is they have come up with an awesome new feature called as forecast your data. All you have to do is select a sample of data. So I'm going to select this much. That's what we have. If I select everything, Excel is confusing itself and not giving a proper forecast. So I'm going to just select the first row because each row contains one type of value and we need to do this forecasting multiple times. So I'll select that and we go to data, forecast sheet. This is only available in Excel 2016, so if you're running an earlier version of Excel, I highly recommend that you download either a free trial of Excel 2016 or Office 365 just so you could play with some of these new really powerful features. Okay, so you click that, it opens up a very interesting worksheet where it gives you how the forecasting is going to look like. The forecast worksheet option is meant to be a visual thing. So what it does is it gives you a visualization of how the forecasting is going to look like. This is the actual data, and it gives you three types of forecast. It gives you a forecast, a lower confidence forecast, and an upper confidence bound. So same data, assuming you want to forecast with 95% forecast or 60% forecast or whatever with confidence levels. That refers to the statistical concepts of how you do forecasting and any other testing. Assuming you are at 95% for confidence, what the values are going to look like. So it'll give you the forecast for those 3 months. You also have additional options page. I'll just move it out of the screen so you can see the options tab. And you can tell Excel some of the additional details of when you want to start the forecast and what are the confidence intervals that you're looking for, some of the range parameters and stuff like that. And once you're ready, if you say create, that's gonna just like magic insert a forecast worksheet for you. It's a new worksheet, it's nothing new here, just a worksheet that is been pre-calculated and tabulated for you. It contains a table with your original data and some calculations built into it, along with a line chart depicting the forecasting. Now excuse me if you hear my kids' screams or noises in the background. That's because it's not a very big hotel, and the kids are in the adjacent room, so they're just having some playtime now, and you can still hear them. Okay, so we have our timeline numbers here. The original data goes here, the last month value is duplicated here, and then the new values are computed by your forecasting model. Now the beauty of the forecast worksheet is there are formulas. So this is your raw data from which Excel is calculating the forecast. So it didn't calculate the values out of thin air. There is a formula behind this, and you can now customize the formula to come up with your own forecast data as well. So the forecast formula, forecast.ets, is a new formula introduced in 2016, and that one takes your month, your existing values and timeline, and some additional information about seasonality and data completion. Right now we don't have any gaps in the data, but should there be any gaps in your original data, Excel can do an interpolation as well and fill up those numbers. And Excel can auto detect any seasonality that is exhibited by your original data, and accordingly maintain such seasonality in forecast as well. Okay, so that's what it does, and it will give you those numbers. And this is your forecast. This is forecast with lower confidence threshold, and forecast with upper confidence thresholds. Okay, so the only difference would be some of the subtractions and additions going on here. Okay. So that's how the forecasting function works in Excel. Now if you're thinking, oh, this is all awesome, Chandu, but I have my data like this and I just care about the forecasting values there, what would I do? Now in this case, I would imagine the forecast.ets function with that formula, that target date. Since it's always going to be in row number 2, we will log the reference like that, so it reads as $2. The original values are here. Okay, these values will start from column A, so we would type them as $A3, and we can leave the endpoint to be dragging, so it will become M3 and N3 and so on and so forth, or you can also log that reference. Okay, and the timeline values are that range. Now that range is, again, depending on what you have mentioned here, it will either be a full absolute reference or it could be a relative mixed reference. And we will mention 1 and 1 here and then press enter. We'll get the value for that. I'm going to copy and paste it here, so we will get the values for the corresponding items, and then we will say actual forecast and select all of this, up to that, and insert a spark line into the actual location range. Okay, and for forecast we will select these three and insert another spark line in the target there. So we will get actual and forecast targets. What we need to do is we must select all of these and make sure they have the same axis, otherwise you will confuse. So we will say same for all spark lines, so that there's no confusion with the axis, and then same. So both vertical minimum and maximum axis values have been set to be same for this entire set of spark lines. If you want, you can change the color of this set of spark lines because they're forecast, so you can refer to them in red color or something like that. So actual is that and forecast is this. So this is a very, very crude way to quickly get to the visualization. If you want, you can also write some sort of an if function, so that you can either show actual forecast or the 95% confidence interval forecasts by using an if function logic. So if somewhere you will change the value to be true, and then it will show the forecast, false, and it will show you the 95% confidence intervals. So that kind of thing can also be done. And if you have been following Chandu.org for a while, I assume you already know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, and then I would highly recommend that you spend some time going through our YouTube channel or reading some of the back pages on Chandu.org, where we got tons of articles explaining this kind of logical building, where you have two sets of calculations and on the fly you can determine which calculation to be used for your charts. So I hope you enjoyed the forecasting in Excel 2016 lesson. This is a very powerful feature, very, very easy to use, and the formulas are additional bonus for us because you can either use it along with your forecast worksheet or just on standalone basis and do so many cool things in your workbooks and dashboards. So that's all, guys. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and once again saying hello and bye from Wellington. And in case you are watching this from Wellington, New Zealand, and would like to say hello to me or just meet up and share share some coffee or something like that, drop me an email at chandu.d@gmail.com. Right now I'm still in a hotel, but we will be moving to our rental house in another 10 days time. So once we get settled there, I'm happy to come and meet you and say hello to you. Thanks. Bye bye.